Good morning, this is Mike Houston with your Tuesday morning weather hazard briefing for southeast Idaho. Looking at satellite imagery this morning, we see a high-pressure ridge expanding northward across the western states. Looking off to the south and west, we see a subtropical system lifting north along the California coast. That'll come into play here early on in the forecast cycle. And then looking further off to the north and west, we have a low-pressure system working into the Northwest Territories, and portion of that low-pressure system will begin to spin off a low off the coast here that'll come into play later in the forecast cycle. Looking at the forecast charts here for this morning, we see that high-pressure ridge across southeast Idaho with clear and dry conditions. If we jump ahead to Wednesday, we see little change in that regard, although that subtropical system now working up into the northern California coastal waters and Oregon, with associated thunderstorm activity extending from the northern Sierra up into Oregon. Southeast Idaho looks to be relatively dry with high temperatures running up into the lower 90s here in the Snake River Plain and mid-80s to lower 90s in the Central Mountains and Southeast Highlands. Humidities will begin to drop with readings across the region generally running in the lower teens throughout the region. Advancing our forecast charts to Thursday, that subtropical system now working in over the top of the ridge as it breaks down. And we'll see isolated to scattered thunderstorm activity here across the Central Mountains and Eastern Highlands for the most part. Might see a thunderstorm or two down here in the Snake River Plain and maybe the Southern Highlands, but the bulk of the activity should be in the Central Mountains. As we work our way out to Friday, that system pushing east of the Continental Divide, although we will see some lingering moisture and instability here along the Wyoming border, which may help to support some isolated thunderstorm development Friday afternoon. As we advance to Saturday, the ridge redevelops across the region for dry and stable conditions, although we see a low-pressure system now taking shape off the northwest coast. Temperatures on Saturday should run up into the 90s here. I think this chart is a little too cool. I think we'll probably see a low to mid-90s here in the Snake River Plain and upper 80s to lower 90s here throughout the Central Mountains and Southeast Highlands. That upper ridge begins to shift east of the divide here on Sunday as that low-pressure trough now begins to work into western Canada. We should begin to see a reflection of increasing southwest winds across the region, and that will intensify as we get into Monday as that trough now begins to sweep east along the Canadian border. Looks to be fairly dry for southeast Idaho. Most of the subtropical moisture to our south stays there, and the moisture with the accompanying low to our north remains north of our region, and we should get the wind. That trough sweeps by through Montana on Tuesday with a dry cold frontal passage across southeast Idaho, and again increasing winds throughout the region and possibly cooler temperatures as we get into the afternoon hours. That's all I had here for you this morning. If you had any comments, questions, or concerns, you can give us a call here at the number on the screen. Thank you.